Sleep problems are a common problem around the world, and most people who have experienced stressful or traumatic events have trouble sleeping. Today I am talking about sleep problems, and in particular nightmares as a result of severe stress and psychological trauma. As always, I'll start by explaining the problem. After all, if you do not understand well enough what is happening to us, we are not able to control the situation. Then we will feel anxious and helpless. I will also give you some tips on overcoming sleep problems or at least minimizing their negative effects. We have a natural tendency to feel vulnerable in the dark. In part, this has an evolutionary explanation. Our distant ancestors lived in nature, and darkness was a real threat to life. People who suffer from post-traumatic stress feel especially vulnerable at night in the dark. Another problem for them is that they suffer from intrusive traumatic memories, flashbacks, nightmares, or panic attacks at night. All these are forms of re-experiencing trauma. During nightmares, a person may move, shout, or talk nonsense. Some dreams reflect traumatic events, while other dreams relate to certain emotions that arouse during the trauma. For example, feelings of helplessness, fear, anger, or sadness. You can compare nightmares to what happens if you overeat and can't digest all the food at once. Just as overeating overloads the digestive system, trauma overloads the nervous system. In other words, psychological trauma is an experience that a person cannot digest emotionally, physically, and mentally. Nightmares are the pieces of trauma that are not digested. So they have a logical explanation, and in this sense, they should not be afraid. Most people wake up briefly every 1.5 hours, look around, and sleep on. This is a relic of a time when people lived in the wild and woke up to see if they were in danger, and then fell asleep again. Most of us don't even notice this short break in sleep and think we slept without waking up. However, if you record the biopotentials of the brain, you can record short periods of awakening. People who have experienced a traumatic event while waking up during this short period suffer from traumatic memories. They wake up easily because it's difficult for them to ignore external stimuli that do not bother those who do not suffer from post-traumatic stress. Traumatized people often react to every sound as if there is a real danger, even if they are in a safe place. Due to the increased amount of adrenaline circulating in the body, a person sleeps superficially and often wakes up. In other words, the nervous system of the traumatized person watches even in a dream. People with sleep disorders are often afraid to go to bed. They can't sleep at night and they try to take a nap during the day, which makes it difficult for them to function. After all, we can recover during a good night's sleep and much less effectively during a nap. Sleep problems are the most common complaints of post-traumatic stress disorder. People often feel tired. They have the need and desire to sleep, but they cannot sleep. Or they fall asleep for a while and then wake up and do not sleep until morning. Insomnia causes irritability and a depressed mood. However, it's important to note that people do not die from insomnia, even if it has a negative impact on performance and health. My professional focus is on psychological trauma and its consequences, so I can confidently say that an acute reaction to stress will pass for most people over time. Favorable factors are getting psychological first aid on time, good self-help skills, and social support in a stressful situation. But for some people, the consequences of a traumatic experience will last much longer. Acute stress reaction can develop in a condition called post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. PTSD almost never goes away on its own. Treatment is necessary to get rid of it. The most effective methods are EMDR and exposure therapy. But if therapy is unavailable or impossible because the person is not safe yet, there are self-help methods to reduce sleep problems. So let's look at them in more detail. One or more elements of your environment can act as a trigger and contribute to sleep problems. Triggers are events or things around you that evoke feelings of trauma. One way to overcome sleep problems is to remove these triggers. If you do not feel safe in your environment, if there is a real threat to your safety and life, your options are limited. But you should always try to change something. Even a little change can make a difference. So let's go back to the triggers. Look which triggers can be avoided. The room where you sleep may contain sounds, smells, or colors that are reminiscent of trauma. You can avoid these triggers by moving furniture, using earplugs, repainting a wall, or removing certain items. These are just examples to give an idea. Some people feel more comfortable with a lock on the door, or a stick, or a knife under the bed. But when locking the bedroom door, think about the fact that you can easily get out in a case of an emergency. Another trigger may be the presence of a partner in bed. The movements of another person in bed can cause flashbacks, anxiety, or panic attacks. It may happen that you confuse him or her with someone else. In this case, consider temporarily sleeping alone. This is not very popular advice for couples, but can be a temporary measure to reduce anxiety and sleep problems. Pay attention to what you wear while sleeping. Instead of a nightgown or underwear, many people with PTSD feel more comfortable and safer in more closed clothing, such as pants or even a cap. The trigger that can provoke unwanted symptoms is emotional information before bedtime. For example, reading or watching the news or some programs. It's best to do something in the evening inattentive and frivolous. But even after you have already set up your environment, making it emotionally safer, seemingly insignificant things can sometimes evoke painful memories. To reduce the trigger effect, it is important to quickly navigate in the here and now, to stay in the moment. You can hang the notes in large letters with the positive affirmations on the wall or play them next where you sleep, which will help you stay in the present moment and feel a little safer when you wake up. It could be something like, "I'm safe now," or "I can learn to take care of myself," or "I have the right to safety." Some find it easier to fall asleep with a nightlight. Others keep a photo of loved ones by the bed. All these things can help you to feel more safe, waking up from a nightmare. The idea is to counteract the triggers that evoke traumatic memories. Although things can cause feelings of anxiety and enhance your perception of danger. Another way that helps some people when they wake up from a terrible nightmare is to make a record of a dream after waking up. You can write your dreams down immediately after waking up, draw it, or make an audio recording on your smartphone. Don't be afraid to return to your nightmare. Be as honest and precise as possible when you process your dream in this way. Every time you have this nightmare, even if you dream it several times per night, write it down. Some people notice that this nightmare tends to become less frequent and intense when they put a note or picture of a nightmare in the box with a lock. You can also wrap the box with something tightly instead. Put a pen and paper or smartphone by your bed so you can make a record right after awakening. Each time you record your dream, you can change the ending, imagining that it will end better than you dreamed. Change any detail you want to change. Practice your new script. Actively imagine the nightmare throughout the day, but this time with the changes you have made. Practicing your nightmare helps your brain understand that a new possible storyline should replace a negative old nightmare. Do this at least a few times a day. Rethink your new script mentally. Finally, talk to your friends and family with somebody you trust about your nightmares. Despite the desire to forget and avoid thoughts of nightmares, support of friends and family can soothe and reduce the likelihood or recurrence of nightmares. And now I want to focus on tips that help stabilize sleep. First, no matter how ordinary it may seem, choose a fixed sleep and wake time. Our body needs a daily routine. If you wake up much later on weekends, it will be harder for you to fall asleep at the usual time in the evening. And this destabilizes your sleep, which is especially undesirable if your sleep is already disturbed. Some daily bedtime routine help to stabilize sleep patterns as well. Children have evening routines to prepare for sleep, such as a warm bath, reading a book, a lullaby, and a goodnight kiss. The evening routine will benefit adults as well. All depends on your possibilities and preferences. Be creative. Here are some examples. A cup of tea, a warm shower, diary writing, planning the next day, preparing things for tomorrow, favorite music, or yoga stretches. You can watch something educational, motivating, exciting, or funny online, but not right before going to sleep. Blue light from screens interfere with sleep. You can do relaxation exercises, meditate, or practice self-hypnosis. Even with very limited opportunities, you can change something small that will have a big impact in the long run. These routine changes require discipline and perseverance. And now some don'ts. As I already mentioned, stop using electronic devices at least 30 minutes before bed. If you cannot fall asleep in 20 minutes, leave your bedroom and do something boring. Some people make a grocery list when they can't sleep. A brief 10 to 20 minutes nap may help you feel more refreshed during the day, but don't sleep longer than 30 minutes during the day. Set the alarm and get up after the alarm goes off. If you tend to oversleep, plan something that motivates you to get up earlier. For example, planning a meeting in the morning, caring for a pet, or helping a neighbor. It is important to be careful with caffeine. And I mean not only coffee, but also cola and energy drinks. 8 hours after you drink a cup of coffee, caffeine will still be circulating in your blood. Caffeine is a powerful stimulant and can mimic the same physical symptoms that occur during a panic attack, such as palpitations or body tension. In any case, caffeine consumption should be limited in the afternoon. The same goes for alcohol. Alcohol can sometimes help to fall asleep easier, but it actually robs you of deep sleep, which is essential for feeling well rested. when the effects of alcohol wear off during the night, you'll probably be wide awake again. In addition, the use of alcohol and other drugs can worsen nightmares. On the other hand, regular moderate exercises can extend sleep duration, improve sleep quality, and decrease the time it takes to fall asleep. Choose light to moderate intensity workouts at least 2 hours before bed. And finally, despite the fact that we were taught from an early age to keep warm, you need to sleep in a colder room. Sleeping in a colder room can improve your sleep quality and even help you combat insomnia episodes. That's all for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and to share this video with your friends. Thank you very much for your attention. Goodbye.